Canada, our home and native land. True babe, we see thee rise, our true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land, we stand on guard for thee.
Leading the way from Lang, Saskatchewan, Wade Beck. From Alexander, Manitoba, Darby Cochran. From Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, looking at the ring from a slightly different perspective this time, Bridget Andrews. From St. Rose du Lac, Manitoba, our elder statesman, Lyle Fox. And from Church Bridge, Saskatchewan, Rick McIntyre. Ladies and gentlemen, your panel of Supreme Judges for 2012, put your hands together for this esteemed group of beef resources. Leading off the way of our champion females, the polled Hereford Grand Champion female from the Hereford World Congress, WLB 36N Beth ET 452S, from Cayley Cattle Company, all the way at Princeton, BC. We start with chronological order and Harding, Manitoba's Agricultural Fair, where the Supremes received the Ron Sangster Memorial Class Championship. Our Supreme Champion female was a Charlet from KCH Charlet at Rapid City, Manitoba. That animal is KCH Queen Latifah 1T, with the heifer calf at side KCH Queen Latifah 204Z. From the Prince Albert Exhibition, held in late July, early August in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, the Supreme Champion female was the Grand Champion Black Angus from Express Ranch and Justimere Farms, bred by William Jackson. This is Justimere 10277 Tiffany 203Y. From PA to the western part of our nation and the Dawson Creek Exhibition in British Columbia, our Supreme Champion female is the Grand Champion Limousine from that show, from Pinnacle View Limousine of Quesnel, BC, bred by Linhart Limousine. It is CJSL Excite 353X, with Pinnacle's Zatz Exciting 49Z, the calf at side. Moving a little further south in British Columbia to the Interprovincial Exhibition at Armstrong, our Supreme Champion female came from the Black Angus show there, with Belvin Angus, the Hamiltons of Innisfail, Alberta, Gavin Mabel, Colton and Quinn, as well as James Arnott of Cool Angus at Scotland, with Belvin Georgina 1810 and Belvin Georgina 3312 heifer calf at side. The Scottish influence in this pair in the ownership making us truly an international championship. Bouncing from British Columbia to Ontario and the Lindsay Central Exhibition, where we now start welcoming in our breed champions. First off, our Grand Champion Black Angus female from Tullamore Angus at Caledon, Ontario, Bill and Sylvia Jackson, bred by Lee Brown of LLB Angus in Alberta. Our Grand Champion Black Angus female is LLB Classy Lady 388Y. Following entry number 6 is our Grand Champion Main Anjou female, JCF Yaniston 10Y, bred by John Crawford Farms, exhibited by Phillips, Mark Denfield, Ontario. And our Grand Champion Scimitar female rounding out the field from Lindsay, Ontario, from Indian River Cattle Company of Indian River, Ontario, IRCC Excella 2X with IRCC Zephyr calf at foot. We move now back to Alberta and the Olds Fall Classic at Olds, Alberta, where our Grand Champion Red Angus female is Red LFE Serena 190X with the Red Terron Serena 1Z heifer calf at foot. This comes to us from the Adams family of Terron Farms, Forestburg, Alberta. and bred by Lewis Farms of Spruce Grove. Our grand champion Limousin female at Olds comes from Ivy Livestock of Dutchess, Alberta, the Hertz family, with Ivy's Expect the Best 47Z and Ivy's Marksman HTZ 10Z calf at side. Our grand champion Shorthorn female at Olds Fall Classic comes from Wendy Bishop and Creekside Shorthorns of Holden, Alberta, Creekside Admiration 3X with Creekside Legacy 13Z. And rounding out our Olds champions, the grand champion Simmental female from Mater Ranches of Carstairs, Alberta, and Five Corner Cattle, Mater Iron Sugar 7X with Mater Pulled Badger 5Z, bull calf at side. Moving a little farther south, folks, we go to our neighbors to the south, the United States of America and Kansas City, Missouri, and the grand champion Pulled Hereford female from the American Royal Livestock Show. This is C&M New Mexico Lady 2008, bred by C&M Herefords of Nara Vista, New Mexico, exhibited by them as well, and also GKB Cattle Company, Waxahachie, Texas. We moved to just earlier this month, folks, and up the highway at Lloydminster Stockade Roundup, where our grand champion Black Angus female is Justimere 1036 Swan 751W, bred by Justimere Farms, the Foxes at Lloyd, and exhibited by Eldom Cattle Investments of Saskatoon. The calf at side is Eldom 9005 Swan 316Z on this grand champion Black Angus pair. A yearling heifer topped the Horned Hereford Show at Lloydminster, and our grand champion female, bred and owned by SS Cattle Company of Irma, Alberta, with SS Topline Yes Canadiana 124Y. Our Lloydminster grand champion Simmental is Crossroad Whisper 930 with BGS Silent Lunker 14Z. Crossroad Farms, the breeder on the cow, and exhibited by Black Gold Simmentals of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. And our final grand champion from the Lloydminster Stockade Roundup represents the Speckle Park breed. Bred by Barry and Elaine Derscherer and exhibited by Riverhill Farms of Neilburg, Saskatchewan, Randa Farms and Dwayne Neufeld. This is Riverhill 68L Cinder 5X with Riverhill 2X Cinder's Dandy 5Z calf at side. Our grand champion Red Angus female from Brandon comes into the ring next, and it's Red Blake's Ms. Gravity 72X with Red Blake's Ms. Gravity 4Z heifer calf at side for Blake's Red Angus of McCord, Saskatchewan. Our next Brandon grand champion represents the Charlet breed, bred and owned by Wood River Charlet of McCord, Saskatchewan. This is Wood River Princess 13Y. Our grand champion Pulled Hereford female from Brandon was bred by Scissors Valley Pulled Herefords and exhibited by Section 7 at Rocanville, Saskatchewan. She is SVPH Crystal 104X with SVPH 915U Chloe 4Z heifer calf at side. And our final Brandon champion is our grand champion Simmental female, bred and owned by Ashworth Farm and Ranch at Ongre, Saskatchewan, with KWA Ms. Rock 14X and KWA Fly F Red Mountain 16Z bull calf outside. Heading east to the oldest cattle exhibition in the land, the one that they used to roll out to in rail cars, and we still go to in droves because of the history and heritage and the quality, the Royal Agriculture Winter Fair in Toronto, Ontario, and the grand champion Pulled Hereford female, who is also the grand champion female from the Lindsay Central Exhibition, Elm Lodge Exceptional 72X with Trent Hill Melissa 5Z calf at foot. This cow bred by Grant Elhurst and exhibited by Trent Hill Herefords of Hastings, Ontario. A couple of Farmfair International Grand Champions now. From Edmonton, Alberta's long-standing event, our Grand Champion Red Angus female is Red Taron Alice 31Y. From Taron Farms of Forestburg, Alberta. That's Terry and Sharon Adams, Robin Maureen Adams, and girls. And our Grand Champion Limousin female from Farmfair in Edmonton. Also the grand champion female from Lloydminster Stockade Roundup, bred and owned by Greenwood Limousin, the Payne family of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, Greenwood Wisteria Lane, and the Greenwood Polled Zambuca, calf at side. We move a little closer to home, folks, and the Saskatoon Fall Fair from just up the highway, straight up the highway in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Our grand champion, Black Angus female, the cow is bred by Chris Poley, and it comes to us from Hall's Cattle Company at Craven, Saskatchewan. It is PSF Rosebud 12T and Hall's Rosebud 212Z heifer calf at side. Our grand champion, Black Angus female from the new pen of cattle, the grand champions from the Saskatoon Fall Fair. Our grand champion, Red Angus female, bred by Jim Wright and coming to us from Wright Livestock at Melford, Saskatchewan, Bar 76 Ranch Limited, and junior Katie Wright with Red Wright's Vanessa 1Y. Our grand champion polled Hereford female from Saskatoon is Justimere 893U Bell 650X with the heifer calf Justimere 425E Bell 201Z at side. Bred and exhibited by Justimere Ranch of Dauphin, Manitoba, and the calf co-owned with KH Investments of Springdale, Arkansas, Arizona. Our grand champion Simmental from Saskatoon is Erickson Lady 220Z from Erickson Simmentals, Clavet, Saskatchewan. Folks, those are all of the breed shows that have cooperated with Canadian Western Agribition to make the champions that help fill up this show and fill up these barns, folks from coast to coast who want to ply their wares. But there's one group that's missing, and we're very proud to introduce them to you now. For 42 years, there have been champions declared here at Canadian Western Agribition, and no banners have been more hotly contested nor more wildly desired than those Grand Champion female banners from Canadian Western Agribitions. Our 42nd set of Grand Champion females coming to us from none other than the 2012 Canadian Western Agribitions, our hometown champions. Folks, we will start to introduce you to our Canadian Western Agribition Grand Champion females. Leading the way, our Black Angus female, Grand Champion at the largest Black Angus show in the land, DMM Miss Essence 61W with DMM Stash 72Z bull calf at side from Miller Wilson Angus, the Wilson family of Bashaw, Alberta. This pair also Grand Champion female at Farmfair International and Grand Champion female at the Olds Fall Classic. Our Grand Champion Red Angus female from Wildman Livestock, Brett Tracy and Paige Wildman of Sangudo, Alberta, co-owned with the Sibbolds of Triple S Red Angus at Calgary and Bryler Ranch, the Mackenzies of Pincher Creek, part owner on the calf. This is Red Wildman Miss Stocky 001X and Red Wildman Curve 207Z, bull calf at side. Our Agribition Grand Champion Charlet female is SVY Starstruck 8X with SVY MLC Starstruck 204Z calf at side. Bred and owned by Sirianko and Vogley Cattle Company of Maymont, Saskatchewan. Also owned by Mitchelson Land and Cattle, McAvoy Charlet and Medante Charlet. This female also the Grand Champion female for the Charlet Show at Farmfair International in Edmonton, as well as the Grand Champion female of the Lloydminster Stockade Roundup of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan. Our Grand Champion Gelpfie female from the National Gelpfie Show here at Agribition 2012 is CK71X with SLC Touchdown 55Z calf at side. Britain Farms, the breeder on the cow, and exhibited at the National Gelpfie Show from Scott and Lisa Sievertson and family of Sievertson Land and Cattle in Estelle, Alberta. Our Grand Champion Horned Hereford female at Agribition is bred by Kevin Jensen and comes to us from C&M Herefords of Naravisa, New Mexico, and Kyle and Tanya Perez. She is KJDWE 968R Tory 457Y, our Grand Champion Agribition, Horned Hereford Grand Champion female. Our Polled Hereford Grand Champion female is Harvey Ovie HF Ms. Unique ADW with Harvey OVHF AD Unique 152Z. Bred and owned by Harvey Ranching, also owned by Anita Doctor and OVHF. And this Agribition Grand Champion Polled Hereford female was also the Grand Champion Hereford female at the Olds Fall Classic. Our Grand Champion Agribition Limousin female was also the National Limousin Champion female at the Manitoba Livestock Expo in Brandon, Manitoba. She's the junior project of Cassidy Matthews of Highland Stock Farms, Olds, Alberta, and the rest of the Matthews family, co-owned with Edwards Limousin, HSF Your Fantasy, our Grand Champion Limousin female. Our Grand Champion Menanjou female for Agribition is bred and owned by Hall's Cattle Company of Craven, Saskatchewan. She is Hall's Miss Valentine 112Y. Our Grand Champion Shorthorn Agribition female is Forest Hall Raggedy Ann 113T with Alta Cedar Raggedy Ann 43Z calf at foot. The cow is bred by Forest Hall Shorthorns and exhibited by Alta Cedar Shorthorns. This female was also the Grand Champion Shorthorn female at Farmfair International. Our Grand Champion Scimitar female from Agribition is bred and owned by Wheatland Cattle Company of Bienfait, Saskatchewan, Wheatland Lady 93X with Wheatland Lady 212Z calf at side. And our final Grand Champion female from Agribition and final competitor to see who will be the Queen of the Ring, our National Supreme Championship, represents the Speckle Park breed. And our Speckle Park Grand Champion female, bred by Jason Goodfellow and exhibited by Jason, as well as Jason Neilberg of Saskatchewan. The cow is not a photo finish 54P. The calf, not a 60W Outcast 101Z. Folks, this is the Supreme Champion female class of the RBC Beef Supreme Championship here at Canadian Western Agribition. As they pull around into the final place, and our judges have the opportunity to take a look at them on the stand, and they fill out their ballots determining their best of this ring. Folks, put your hands together for all of our Grand Champion females, champions each and every one of them. What a display they have put forth for us for our 2012 RBC Beef Supreme. So we will commence with our Ron Sangster Memorial Class Supreme Champion Bull from the Harding Agricultural Fair in Harding, Manitoba. WILC Shogun from Wilcox Scimitals at Treherne, Manitoba is our first entrant. Entry number 42 in the RBC Beef Supreme Challenge Supreme Champion Bull Division. We head now to the PA show, where our Supreme Champion Prince Albert Bull was the Black Angus from Bar H Land and Cattle of Langenburg, Saskatchewan, BH Balancer 14X. Black Angus also reigned supreme at Armstrong, BC in the Interior Provincial Exhibition. Our Supreme Champion Armstrong Bull is bred by Hamilton Farms, but coming to us from Poplar Meadows Angus, the Belsham family of Houston, BC, with Poplar Meadows Tiger 411. Moving now to Lindsay, Ontario and the Lindsay Central Exhibition, and moving into Grand Champions. Our Grand Champion Polled Hereford Bull is Stonewood MHPH Xerox 2Z. Bred and owned by Stonewood Grange, and also exhibited by Medonte Highlands Polled Herefords of Mississauga, Ontario. At the Olds Fall Classic, our Grand Champion Polled Hereford Bull was bred and owned by Remetall West, the Latimers of Olds, Alberta, and additionally owned by LV Farms. He is Remetall West Constructor 21X. And our other Olds champion was the Grand Champion Shorthorn Bull, JTPH White Wave from JT Livestock Limited of Stettler, Alberta, and Pinch Hill Cattle Company. We move into our best friend to the south, the United States of America, for our next champion, and the Northern International Livestock Exposition, or NILE. held at Billings, Montana, where the Grand Champion Red Angus Bull is Hay Cow Cutting Edge 055. Bred by Hay Cow and exhibited by Rock Creek Red Angus of Joliet, Montana, Blairs.Ag Cattle Company of Lanigan, Saskatchewan, Flying W Red Angus at Cooperstown, North Dakota, and Peeper Red Angus, Hay Springs, Nebraska. Moving to the Lloydminster Stockade Roundup, our Grand Champion Black Angus Bull at Lloydminster is Captain Morgan 201X, bred by Broderick C. Fitzgerald and exhibited by Triple L Angus of Viscount, Saskatchewan. This is also the Grand Champion Bull from the Saskatoon Fall Fair. Our Grand Champion Charlet Bull from Lloydminster is SVY OnStar Polled 222Z, bred and owned by Sirienko and Vogley Cattle Company of Maymont, Saskatchewan, co-owned by Vixie Family Farms, Donelda, Alberta. And our final Lloydminster Grand Champion represents the Horned Herefords, Carlams Ranching Limited of Cutknife, Saskatchewan, with additional owner Corbeil Herefords, has the Grand Champion with C31S Explosive 45X. From the Manitoba Livestock Expo at Brandon, Manitoba, our Grand Champion Red Angus Bull is bred and owned by Chad and Kim Levesque and family of Chopper K Red Angus at Cardiff, Saskatchewan, Red Chopper K Habanero 99Z. Our Grand Champion Charlet Bull, JMB Dateline 206Z from JMB Charlet of Brookdale, Manitoba. And our final Brandon Grand Champion, representing the Scimitar breed, bred and owned by Ashworth Farm and Ranch of Angre, Saskatchewan, additionally owned by Flying F Ranch, KWA Flying F Red Mountain 16Z. Our next set of champions comes from the Royal Agriculture Winter Fair in our nation's most populous city, Toronto, Ontario, where the National Angus Champion Bull, the Grand Champion Black Angus Bull, is EXAR Fortify 1447B, bred by Express Ranches of Yukon, Oklahoma, but exhibited by Justimere Farms of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan, the John and Shelley Fox family, and Voss Vegas Farms of Ontario. Our Grand Champion Charlet Bull from the Royal Agriculture Winter Fair is bred and owned by Sunrise Charlet at Stayner, Ontario, with Sunrise Sunburst 21Y. And our Grand Champion Polled Hereford Bull from Toronto made the trip from far out west, Remitol West, Chicago, ET83Y. From Remitol West, Brian and Annette Latimer family of Olds, as well as Dorbay Polled Herefords and BNC Polled Herefords. We move now into our champions from Farmfair International. Our Black Angus Grand Champion Bull, keeping it in the family with our last entry, but across the road, Remitol Farms, Gary and Jackie Latimer, Richard and Kelly Latimer and family, with Remitol F Odyssey 67X, as well co-owned by Kevin and Noreen Blair, and Darren Blair and family of Blairs.Ag Cattle Company, Lanigan, Saskatchewan. Our Grand Champion Black Angus Bull from Farmfair. Our Farmfair Grand Champion Gelpfie Bull is from the Davidsons of Pontiac, Saskatchewan, with DVE Davidson Jumpstart 44X. Our Grand Champion Shorthorn Bull from Farmfair is Lenny Trophy 38Y, bred by Monroe Lenny, exhibited by Evergreen Lane Farms of Amisk, Alberta, and Bell M Farms. And our final Farmfair Grand Champion represents the Scimitar breed and was also the Grand Champion Scimitar Bull at Olds Fall Classic. This is bred and owned by Harvey Ranching at Olds, Alberta, Harvey Boondock 12Z. Moving now to Saskatoon Fall Fair, our Grand Champion Red Angus Bull is bred by Mike and Sandy Gray. He's Red Rock of Spittleburn 101Y. Brought to us today by Triple L Angus of Viscount, Saskatchewan, the Tetzlaff family, Raz Red Angus, Phil Burney and crew, Dean and Brittany McAvoy, as well as Spittleburn Angus, Mike and Sandy Gray maintaining part ownership, in our Grand Champion Saskatoon Red Angus Bull. Our Grand Champion Polled Hereford Bull from Saskatoon is bred and owned by the Crittenden Brothers of Imperial, Saskatchewan, and also owned by Lakes Ranch Limited, GHC C5 Dominator 29Y. Our Grand Champion Shorthorn Bull is bred and owned by Bell M Farms of Engelfeld, Saskatchewan. He's Bell M Martin 11Y. And our final Saskatoon Fall Fair Grand Champion is from the Simmental breed, bred and exhibited by Sunny Valley Simmentals of Hanley, Saskatchewan. He is SVS Captain Morgan 11Z. Our final Saskatoon champion and our final Grand Champion from all of the breed shows across the nation who collaborate and cooperate with Canadian Western Agribition in making this truly a national Supreme Championship competition. It was 30 years ago this year that I made my first pilgrimage to Canadian Western Agribition, and there is nothing much more hotly sought after, the thing that children dream about at night, and the thing that young couples hope might be able to make the difference for them in this next phase of their ranching life, or older folks to cap off a crowning career in the seedstock business than having the Agribition Grand Champion. Next up, folks, we want to introduce you to each of our Grand Champions from 2012 Canadian Western Agribition. It is the largest show in the land, and we are proud of each and every one of them. We will lead off the way with our Grand Champion Black Angus Bull, Southland Thriller 83X, bred by Southland Black Angus, Shane and Lexi Kidu, exhibited by Bar-Riel, Dave and Lynn Longshore and family of Stettler, Alberta, and co-owned by the Thriller Group, in addition to Southland and Bar-Riel. Our Grand Champion Red Angus Bull from Agribition 2012 is Red DMM Glesbar Barn Dance 35X, bred by Miller Wilson Angus and co-owned by the Wilsons of Miller Wilson at Bashaw, Alberta, Glesbar Cattle Company, Glenn and Darlene Glessman, and Goad Family Angus of Clandonald, Alberta. Barn Dance is also the Grand Champion Bull at Farmfair International and the Olds Fall Classic, a 3-times Grand Champion. Our next Agribition champion comes from the Charlet Show, who also was the Grand Champion Charlet Bull at Farmfair International. He is bred by Bar E.W. Charlet, exhibited by K Cow Ranch at Elk Point, Kevin and Janice Wursta and family, MVY Explorer 21X. Our Grand Champion Gelbvieh Bull, again the national champion Gelbvieh Bull for the big 40th anniversary celebrations of the Gelbvieh breed at Agribition 2012, is SLC Outback 142X, bred and exhibited by Sievertson Land and Cattle Company of Innisfail, Alberta, and additionally owned by Goodview Gelbvieh. Our Grand Champion Horned Hereford Bull of Canadian Western Agribition 2012 is UPS Uptown ET, bred by Upstream Ranch and owned by Upstream, as well as WSV Farm and Ranch LLC and Hershey Herefords and Angus Limited of High River, Alberta. Uptown also the Grand Champion Bull of the Hereford World Conference, held last July in Olds, Alberta, when the world's eyes were on the Hereford breed during that World Hereford Conference. Our next champion represents the Polled Hereford breed at Canadian Western Agribition 2012, bred and owned by Richardson Ranch, as well as exhibited by and owned by Clay Enterprises, the Knudsen family of Wapella, Saskatchewan, Tallel 199S Explosive 18X. And this entry was also the Grand Champion Bull at the Manitoba Livestock Expo in Brandon. Our next Agribition champion represents the Limousin breed. He was also the Grand Champion Limousin Bull at Olds Fall Classic and the National Limousin Champion at Brandon, Manitoba during the National Limousin Show at the Manitoba Livestock Expo. He's bred by Tub Mill Creek Farms, and coming to us from Tub Mill, Gates Limousin, and Highland Stock Farms, the Matthews of Olds, Alberta and Calgary, Alberta, he is TMCK Durham Wheat 6030X. Our grand champion Main Anjou is next, bred and exhibited by Style Mains and Fairland Cattle Company of Penhold, Alberta, Dusty and Sarah Howell and family, with Mr. Style, yes sir, 5Y. Our Agribition grand champion Shorthorn Bull is Rocking L Magnum 1X, bred and exhibited by Rocking L Cattle Company, Wawota, Saskatchewan. Our next entry in the RBC Supreme represents the Simmental champions of Agribition 2012, where Wheatland Bull 232Z was our grand champion. Coming to us from Wheatland Cattle Company, Bienfait, Saskatchewan. And our final grand champion bull, competing for the right to be the RBC Supreme 2012, our grand champion Agribition Speckle Park Bull, bred by John and Dale Herbert. He is Spots and Sprouts Stands Alone and is exhibited by Goodfellow and Jason Neilberg of North Battleford, Saskatchewan. Folks, this is our Grand Champion Supreme Bull class, and 5 judges. It is complete. It is appropriate to have the Survivor theme because these bulls not only survived the elements to live to get to this point, they beat back the best competition in the land to truly stand here as the representatives of better beef in Canada in this latter part of 2012. The judges have made their decisions. The ballots are submitted. The final tabulations are being done. We'll be announcing the top 10 RBC Supreme Females for 2012, the top 10 RBC Supreme Champion Bull finalists, and then those 2 individuals that'll have the bragging rights for the rest of time on the 2012 Canadian Western Agribition RBC Supreme Championships. At this point, we would like to start the announcements with our females, working through the program on their entry numbers. In our females, we actually acknowledge 2 Polled Herefords, 2 Limousin, 2 Simmental, 2 Black Angus, a Red Angus, and a Charolais. A very, very strong split. They are entry number 1, our Polled Hereford Grand Champion female from the Hereford World Conference from Cayley Cattle Company of Princeton, BC, WLB 36N Beth ET 452S, and CB 122L Lady B 222Z calf at side. Entry number 10, the Grand Champion Limousin female from Olds Fall Classic. For the Hertz family of Ivy Livestock at Dutchess, Alberta, entry number 10, Ivy's Expect the Best 47X with Ivy's Marksman HTZ 10Z at side. Also from the Olds Fall Classic. For the Mater family of Carstairs, Alberta, the Grand Champion Simmental, co-owned by 5 Corner Cattle, entry number 12, Mater Iron Sugar 7X with Mater Honey Badger 5Z, making the RBC top 10. Our Grand Champion female from Lloydminster, entry number 26, moves into our top 10. Greenwood Wisteria Lane with Greenwood Polled Zambuca calf at side. Also the Grand Champion from Edmonton Northlands Farmfair for the Payne family of Greenwood Limousin at Lloydminster. Saskatoon Fall Fair gives us another top 10 finalist, entry number 27, PSF Rosebud 12T and Hall's Rosebud 212Z for Hall's Cattle Company of Craven, Saskatchewan, entry number 27. Our next 5 champions, potential Supreme Champions, all come from Canadian Western Agribition as well as other shows that they've won, including entry number 31, DMM Miss Essence 61W with DMM Stash 72Z for Miller Wilson Angus, the Wilson family of Bashaw, Alberta, also the Grand Champion and Supreme Champion, winner of a truck a couple weekends ago at Farmfair International, and the Grand Champion female at Olds Fall Classic. Entry number 32, our Grand Champion Red Angus female from Agribition, Red Wildman Miss Stocky 001X and Red Wildman Curve 207Z for Wildman Livestock Brett Tracy and Paige Wildman of Sangudo, Alberta, Triple S Red Angus, the Sibbles, and Bryler Ranch on the calf, the Mackenzies of Pincher Creek co-owners. Our Grand Champion Charolais female also contending, entry number 33, SVY Starstruck 8X with SVY MLC Starstruck 204Z, the Grand Champion female from Farmfair and Lloydminster. For Sirianko and Vogley Cattle Company of Maymont, Saskatchewan, Mitchelson Land and Cattle, McAvoy Charolais and Medonte Charolais. Our next finalist, entry number 36, our Agribition Grand Champion Polled Hereford female, as well the Grand Champion from the Olds Fair and Rodeo for Harvey Ranching, Anita Doctor, and OVHF, with Harvey OVHF Ms. Unique 80W and Harvey OVHF 80 Unique 152Z. And rounding out the field in our Grand Champion Supreme Female Drive, entry number 40, our Agribition Grand Champion Simmental Wheatland Lady 93X with Wheatland Lady 212Z for Wheatland Cattle Company of Bienfait, Saskatchewan, Vernon Denise, and the boys. Those are our top 10 female finalists. Over on our bull side, we recognize an even bigger split with a Polled Hereford, a Limousin, a Simmental, 3 Black Angus, a Red Angus, a Charolais, a Gelbfie, and a Horned Hereford as we move down from entry number 55, the Grand Champion Black Angus bull from the National Angus Show at the Royal Agriculture Winter Fair, entry number 55 EXAR Fortified 1447B from Justimere Farms of Lloydminster, Saskatchewan and Las Vegas Farms, Ontario Way. Next, entry number 58, the Grand Champion Black Angus bull from the Olds Fall Classic and Farmfair International, Remitol F Odyssey 67X for Remitol Farms, Gary and Richard Latimer and families of Olds, Alberta, and Blairs.Ag Cattle Company. Next, entry number 65, Grand Champion Simmental bull from Saskatoon Fall Fair, SVS Captain Morgan 11Z from Sunny Valley Scimitals of Hanley, Saskatchewan. The rest of our champions all come from Canadian Western Agribition. Entry number 66, our Grand Champion Black Angus Bull, Southland Thriller 83X from the Longshores and the Kidoos and the Thriller Group of Barriel Angus at Stettler, Alberta, Southland Black Angus of Shaunavon, Saskatchewan. Our Grand Champion Red Bull joins the group that also won Farmfair and the Olds Fall Classic. Entry number 67, Red DMM Glesbar Barn Dance 35X from Miller Wilson Angus at Bashaw, Glesbar Cattle Company, Glenn and Darlene Glesman, and Goad Family Angus at Clandonald. Our Grand Champion Charlet Bull, entry number 68, MVY Explorer 21X from Kevin and Janice Worston Family of K-Cow Ranch at Elk Point, Alberta, also Grand Champion at Farmfair International. Our National Champion Gelbfie Bull for Sievertson Land and Cattle of Innisfail, Alberta, and Goodview Gelbfie SLC Outback 142X. Entry number 70, our Grand Champion Horned Hereford Bull, UPS Uptown ET from Hershey Herefords and Angus Limited, High River, Alberta, Upstream Ranch, and WSV Farm and Ranch LLC, also the Grand Champion Horned Hereford Bull at the World Hereford Conference in Olds this July. Our Grand Champion Pulled Hereford Bull is part of our Supreme Top 10. Tallel 199S Explosive 18X, entry number 71 for Clay Enterprises of Wapella, Saskatchewan, and Richardson Ranch. This bull also Grand Champion at Brandon, Manitoba. And rounding out our field of top 10 Supreme Champion qualifiers, our Grand Champion Limousine Bull from Agribition, also the National Limousine Champion from Brandon, and the Grand Champion Limousine from Olds Fall Classic. TMCK Durham Wheat 6030X from Tub Mill Creek Farms, Highland Stock Farms, the Matthews of Olds and Calgary, and Gates Limousine. Folks, this is your RBC 10 Supreme Finalist qualifiers. Do put your hands together. The best of the best is about to narrow down even a little bit more. First, we're going to declare our female Supreme Champion. It makes sense that Bridget Andrews will be going forth to make this selection of our RBC Supreme Champion Female 2012. Entry number 33, SVY Starstruck 8X. Our Grand Champion Charlet Female is our Supreme Champion. Congratulations to Sirienko Vogely Cattle Company of Maymont, Saskatchewan, Mitchelson Land and Cattle, McAvoy Charlet and Medante Charlet. Our Farmfair and Lloydminster Grand Champion is now Supreme. Without any further ado, folks, the lights are down. The cattle look awesome just as they do when the lights are up. We want the spotlight on those 10 bulls and on Lyle Fox. Let's go pick a Supreme Champion bull for Agribition 2012. Entry number 70, the Grand Champion Horned Hereford Bull and the World Conference Champion for Hershey Herefords and Angus, High River, Alberta, Upstream Ranch and WSV Farm and Ranch LLC, UPS Uptown ET. The drinks are on Uptown tonight, folks. Our Grand Champion Horned Hereford Bull and the Grand Champion Bull from the Hereford World Conference in July 2012 in Olds is your 2012 Canadian Western Agribition RBC Supreme Champion Bull.